daytime, man. Daytime free trip. It's a 3 chip. That's why I bought it. For during the day, that is so awesome. This is also what I use for my helmet cam. I'll hook up the lipstick to this. I'll put this on, you know, his chest protector, and then his little helmet cam will come out of the top.
So what's the craziest time you've had in all 5 years?
Craziest time I've had. I got arrested for bank robbery. I was painting a ladder in my room. This is pretty much probably within like 6 months of starting. I was painting, actually it was stain, it was red stain, and I stained a ladder. And then I got a call about a bank robbery. So I went to the bank robbery. Well, the guy stole the money and the dye pack broke on him. So they're looking for somebody with red dye on him. And I was in the scene, so when it was time for me to leave the scene, they saw the red dye, pulled the guns out, FBI came and talked to me. I knew I wasn't in trouble, but just the fact that it was happening that was probably the craziest thing. And then the other stuff is I've seen a live shooting. I literally...
151 in place of engine 32 in 97th District. Collision. Thank you for Canyon Road and East Fork Road.
I saw a man just be shot. He was literally just, his hands were in the air, they moved a little bit, and they shot him about 17 times. And that was, I caught it all on tape. I couldn't believe it. And when it first happened, I thought it was like, kind of like Rodney King-ish, because I didn't see a gun with the guy at all. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my Rodney King. I'm not thinking, you know, how policies are and all that stuff, but the police didn't seem to mind. They thought they were in the right. They let me go. They didn't, you know, ask me too many questions until they saw it all on TV. Then I went to the police station and asked them all kinds of questions. And also, I got a live action crash once. It was a Dirt Pursuit. These guys were, it's actually in one of my videos. These guys were driving down the street. They saw me, they threw their gangster signs at me, and they didn't see the other car, and it just hit them, and they just... It's a great shot. It's visual, probably one of the most visual shots I've got. And you don't even see the other car hit, so you just see this car coming, all of a sudden you just hear it and it spins. But probably the bank robbery, the shooting, and the car accident is probably the craziest stuff that I think I've been in or seen. We've seen some gnarly accidents, but nothing like being...
How does your family feel about what you do?
My mom and dad are divorced, so my stepmom and my dad live up north, and they, every once in a while, they'll see some of the footage. They don't like to hear where I stay. They don't mind seeing the footage. They know what I do. They're actually really glad I'm doing the paparazzi thing now. They're actually happy about that because they know it's safe, and they don't like to hear I sit in Compton. My mom, she pretty much raised me, so she knows how I am. She just deals with it. She used to call me every morning at 5 in the morning for like, swear to God, for like 4 years. She called me every morning at 5 in the morning. I was like, Mom, I'm 30. She's like, so? I was like, do you know where you've been tonight? Do you know what you've been doing? And she'll ask me, what'd you get? I'm like, Mom, I just told 10 stations the same story. So what'd you get? I was like, But they're happy. I mean, they're happy to see that I'm actually making a living and they don't have to take care of me like we all thought they would.
Right.
So I spent, I mean, when I wasn't in school, I spent my time at the beach and in the mountains. So for me to actually make a respectable living, out of control.
LP 6929 North Lakewood Avenue, Suite 100, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
How much can people get for the stringer footage? What's kind of like the average and what's like the high end?
It's a set price, unless you get, say, that picture of Oliver Stone coming out of the police station or Tom Cruise being put in that ambulance. It's $150 a station, no matter what. When it goes to national, it moves to like $350, and then the tabloids, like Access Hollywood, is like $750. But you can negotiate with everybody depending on the footage. But if it's your normal everyday stuff, it's $150. That's it. There's no negotiations. And then if you say you have a gnarly rescue and Channel 4 says, I'll give you $5,000 for it exclusive. Well, now you just pissed off channel 2, 5, 7, and 11. You just got $5 grand, but you also just missed out on a bunch of money for the next up and coming months. So they're happy with you. So yeah, especially when you piss them off like that. So you try not to do that. You can get one, if you get 1 to 2 stories a night's about average. When you get 3 or 4, it means it doesn't matter if the car is there, or they'll just shoot the corner, or they'll shoot the burned down building, even after it's so far over the smoke's already gone. They just don't buy stuff anymore. So pretty much all the English channels buy 2, 4, 7, 5, 11, 13. Every once in a while you might get a Spanish station.
You're pretty fluent in Spanish, right?
Nope. And it hurts me. I don't know Spanish. There's a couple stringers that do, and it helps them get into that house.
Sure.
It helps them sell it to those other stations. It helps them get that soundbite. I'll get a Spanish soundbite, and I'll talk to the kid, go, hey, tell your mom to say this. And then I'll say, hey, did she say this, or what did she say, or get her to say this. Because there's a lot of Spanish-speaking people out here, and when I was younger, I refused to. I mean, I live here. I don't live there. So I kind of refused it when I was younger. Now it's biting me in the ass. But no, there's definitely, I've seen a stringer uses Spanish to his advantage. There was just a drive-by, shooting went into the house. The stray bullet went into a house, so he was able to go into the house because he talked his way into that.
Engine and squad 31, traffic collision. CHP en route, northbound 710, south of Rosecrans. Engine and squad 37.
What's the craziest stories you've heard about other stringers getting? What are some of the ones that you might have missed?
There's been some, not too long ago, I'm sure you guys probably saw this, the company that I used to work for, and along with, actually I was working for him at the time, I wasn't out that night, and I'm glad I wasn't out because of my aggressiveness. Who knows what would have happened. They got that Compton shooting, the one that you saw probably about a month ago, the white Suburban, 120 shots, nobody got shot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was two of my buddies and then another company, so there's 2 companies there, but a total of 3 guys. That was pretty outrageous. They have just 120 rounds going into a car, and they had bullets flying by them, so I was actually glad I wasn't at that one.
That was surreal as hell. The guy was driving around the neighborhood, and it wasn't like apparent imminent danger.
There was a shooting call. He fit the description about an hour before that, so they thought he was a shooting suspect.
Isn't that wild?
And they shot him. They shot 120 times. And what's real funny is the city of Compton said, hey, at least, can these officers go to target practice? So I'm glad they didn't kill him, but can they go to target practice or something? I mean, it doesn't take 120 bullets to stop a person. But that's probably one of the most outrageous things that I missed. And there's a couple live shootings that were caught on tape that I missed. Like Howard got a shooting. He just pulled up and he had his camera on. Just pulled up to get a car leaving, shooting at another car. That was pretty cool.
How many people do they say get shot each night? And do you ever know the statistics of what goes down in LA?
Somebody gets shot every night. Every night somebody gets shot. It doesn't make the news anymore because the gangsters would go home and have a party about it. They'd sit there and drink their beer and do whatever they do, and then they see their story on TV, it hypes them up even more. Just like it hypes me up when I see my stuff on TV. So for them to do something and then to see it on TV, they kind of put a stop to that. But if their bullet misses their target, hits a little girl, hits someone's mom, that makes the news. Somebody gets shot every night. There's the drive-by. There's literally drive-bys every night. Just because it doesn't make TV doesn't mean it didn't happen.
So what does that add up to each year? Is it like,
I don't
do you
know.
have any idea?
No, I don't know the numbers. I know tonight 3 people got shot just while I was on my way to you.
Yeah.
I think 1 dead and two injured.
Certain neighborhoods where the fires and the shootings happen?
Yeah, pretty much everywhere. But South Central, I mean, there's going to be a shooting, there's going to be a stabbing, there's going to be something. It's not getting better, it's getting worse. And it's gotten worse since I started, but you're used to it. So you're like, it's a part of you now. It's, some bad stuff happens, you don't think it's that bad, but when you tell it to somebody, they're like, oh my gosh, it's like, why are you overreacting? Like, I'm not. It hit me different, you know? It doesn't hit me the same anymore. You can't say something to stump me. There's a few things that you can say or do that, I'll be like, ew. You know, just seen it all or hear it all. There's some gnarly things that people have done. Funny situations too.
What's some of the like lingo or whatever? Is there certain codes that's used within the fire, within you guys as stringers?
Yeah, there's a couple things we know. 415, it's a disturbance. Obviously on 187, you know, somebody got shot. But 417 is a man with a gun. A 417A is a man with a knife. And all we do is we just learn the police numbers. Everything I'm telling you is all that is the police code. We just learn it because it helps us. And there's just certain things that you hear all the time. You know, I think like a 390 is a drunk person. I forget the actual code. I have it in my book too. When you hear something you don't recognize, but the main ones you know, like 245 assault with a deadly weapon. Your 207 is a kidnapping. Rape was 207 the rape. One of them. 261 is the rape. 207 is the kidnapping. So when you hear those numbers, you're just kind of perk and see where it's going and what it is. If you get too hot or too cold, just let me know. Oh, thanks.
45 North Maple. 3rd, 5, Kovac, line is busy.
T120, roger.
Alright, what was that story again?
Let's talk about how I started and got my first camera, because you mentioned the XL1. My buddy did a wheelie across America back in '99. Went from Hollywood to Orlando, Florida. It took us like 75 days. And I shot it just on a home video camera. And some of the footage ended up getting on Ripley's Believe It or Not. It was on Discovery Channel. It was on a few different programs. So I pretty much talked my mom into buying me a nice camera and said I might be able to do something with this. And she bought me the XL1. And I started taping my friends. And I was at the right place at the right time, and somebody came to me and said, hey, would you be interested in doing something different with your camera than just filming clubs and girls and your friends? And I said, yeah, no problem. So I had a meeting with him and his boss. I think that meeting was on Friday. I went out on Monday, and I got a story that day. And the boss came and said, hey, I got to look at your footage to make sure it's okay. He literally watched 3 seconds of it and said, it's fine. And then I went and started my news career back in May. 2004. No, was it 2000? 2000. May of 2000. That's right. I've been doing this 5 years. 2 during the day and 3 at night. Or is it 4? 3 at night.
So you said there's a whole kind of a lineage of mentoring and that kind of stuff to become a stringer. Is there like history or like a lore, or like what Stringers was about? Is it a part of paparazzi? Is it part of news cameraman?
Hold on one second. We're gonna wait and see what these noises do.
For an unknown type fire on 170th District.
There is a security guard on scene.
Maybe.
His staff is checking to the front of the location.
Engines 173, 18, 14, 161, point 162, squad 14, 10th, 18, and 20. Unknown type fire, 170th District, 3226 West 111th Place, Crenshaw Boulevard, utilize TAC 18.
Alright, well, remember that question. We're going to go to... like that. Hold on a second. Try to find a better one. And my computer lags right now.
Traffic broken, confirming they're going to continue to check. Hey, Life 170, would you send that to my LCT?
I know where 111 is going to shows. I don't know why I'm looking this thing up on a computer. Seriously.
The address is fine. The address is 3226 West 111th Place, Lomoli.
What we have is an outdoor fire. They don't know what it is yet, but outdoor fires sometimes mean trash cans on fire. Sometimes it means there's a pallet yard on fire. You never know.
Careful, you don't let you
Of 97, 79 Ford out of Sun Valley. requested Atlas. Release liability dated 12/92.
So now I know where I'm going. What was the question?
Atlas Enterprise.
So is there mentors into this process, or?
I had a mentor, my old boss. He wasn't so with that. He was
123 squad 107 and
he was
107
trained
district
by a couple of the people that used to do this for a while.
Canyon Road.
But it's pretty much, you have to learn it from somebody who's already doing it. You just don't get a camera and call channel 2. It doesn't work like that. And even if you were to call a camera and call channel 2 doesn't know who you are. So it's there. You can't just get a camera and do it, but somebody has to teach you. Like the newest guy right now, there's a new guy out there. His wife actually works for a station, so that's how he knows how to do it. So somebody has to show you. There's a couple of my friends I wanted to show, but yet I didn't want them to do it because they didn't have it in them. I know they didn't have it in them. I didn't want them to go do it through my boss and then all of a sudden just be like, I don't want to do it anymore. So there is definitely a mentoring program. I am bummed that I'm not with the company that I'm with anymore. But they were just going places I didn't want to go. But he also said, call me, he was trying to figure out ways that I could stay. He was going to open up a whole nother company for me. He was going to try, he's a businessman, so he wanted to keep it. And if you want to do this, anybody who wants to do this, I always tell them, go out with Rob during the day. You can't just get a camera, come out here at night and expect to be a stringer. It's not going to happen. There's too many people out here who kind of know what they're doing. If you want to come out, go out with Rob. I even tell people that. I don't work for Rob, but I'll still give Rob somebody because that's the correct way to do it. He hired a couple people that he just put out at night without training and expected us to train them. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to train somebody at night. I'm here to get a story. So the correct way to do it is go out during the day and go through the process. Hang out there and let all the stations come to you. That's a
Single family dwelling, light smoke showing.
no big deal.
So once it's survey copy 3226 111 flight. Single story, single family dwelling, light smoke showing.
Yeah, it's no biggie. Didn't think it was gonna be. But that's what happens. You're just sitting there and you're waiting for something happens, you type it up and you go. But when your computer doesn't work, you don't type up anything, I guess.
So they just said that was
It's just light smoke showing. If there's light smoke showing, one, I'm not gonna get there in time, and two, light smoke usually means food on the stove. You would be amazed how many food on the stove calls there are and difficulty breathing. So many difficulty breathing calls and food on the stove. That's what half the fire calls are.
18 LA, copy your response on on-type fire. We have a single family dwelling in Life Force 170's area. Basic southeast. Copy.
Sometimes light smoke can mean that, you got a small fire starting in the attic.
LA Life Force 170, this is an outside fire. Life Force 170 can't handle.
Somebody probably had a barbecue in their backyard or something. No, maybe.
Life Force 170, copy 3226 West 911 place. Outside fire, can't handle.
Deal. None. I'm at Florence in the 110. Where you at?
105.
Copy. I'll probably go down to like the 91, make a U-turn, head back up.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to stay out. I might just get feed in that thing a little bit.
What you got, just the geyser so far?
JT Mountain clear at this time.
Copy. I talked to Josh. I don't think he's coming out. I paged Brent. He didn't.
We show you available entity.
Either way, let me know what you end up doing.
Alright.
Come on, we'll take something. It does get boring, but then again, how many jobs when you're bored can you listen to the radio, watch TV, go on the internet, play the computer? So it's, even though it's boring, you know, it's not many jobs you can do that kind of stuff at. Because it really does get boring. There's times you'll sit in one spot for 6 hours and not move. I don't do that, but the people that sit, they literally will sit and not move. I float. I'll hear a call. See how I heard a call this way? So now I'm this way. I'll pretty much stay in this area until I hear another call and tell me to go somewhere else, and then I'll go that way. I never sit at one spot all night, just because the city's so big. I usually, my route, like if I bring it up on the map here.
Scott, can you kill the radio a little bit?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to.
Just knew that.
I just threw it on to.
I'd love you to explain your equipment, your rig here, just so that there's like a.
There's a few things going on. We'll start up here at the computer. Or we'll start at the top here. I got dash cam for pursuits.
104, spot 111 and 107 district.
And in case anything happens in front of me. Before I had it, I've seen a couple accidents. I've seen a couple people get loose. You could pull up to a fire, and by the time you walk up to it, the fire's out. It's always good to have something rolling in front of you. And then I have a TV that I use for two things, pretty much to watch a pursuit if it's on TV, or if I do a late night feed. If I do a feed at 4:30 and I'm driving home, it's cool to watch what you just did as you're driving home before you go to bed.
Oh, sure.
And then I have a computer, I'm on the internet. It helps me with my maps, and I also get to look at CHP's website.
Agent squad 14, difficulty rating.
And here I have six scanners. They're all set for different stuff. But pretty much the top half is police, the second half is fire, but I also have fire mixed in here just in case so you don't miss anything. And that's pretty much my equipment. I have a couple things I'm not too sure I'm supposed to have. I have a little the air horn's okay. It's when it's I think it's when it's not electrical or when it is electrical. There's one way that it's not supposed to be. I have a light here. It's not it's all cool because it's amber. If it was red, that wouldn't be good. What about clear? Clear is cool. I use this like get out of my way. You know, if I have to go somewhere far, I will get out of my way. I also have them up in the front here. Next time we park, I'll show them. But see them? I got them up in the front, and I got them in the back too. So they're amber color. They're not the illegal color, but those are good when you're on the freeway. So you can put those things on so you don't get smacked in the back. This is pretty much like get out of my way kind of thing. I'll just get out of my way kind of thing. I don't like to do it a lot, but
How often do you use that?
I use it maybe like once a week, every other week, because a lot of times there's really nobody in your way. Because we're out at night, there's really not too many people in your way. I mean, if you do get somebody out of your way, you're saving what, a half a second? So I kind of only, or if I'm driving the shoulder, that is a definite. If I'm driving, if there's an accident up there and there's a half a mile back up and you can't get to it from the other way, hold on.
Auto versus pedestrian with a vehicle on top of person. 414 North Wilmington, cross of Brazil. 414 North Wilmington, cross of Brazil. Engine 41, code 411, Battalion 404, County Squad.
We got a good one.
42 responding.
We got a good one.
There's a copy, 1116 South Valley Beach.
They said the car, oh, actually I don't even know if I'm going to it, to be honest with you. You might be closer. But we'll go anyways. Just so you guys can...
No.
Are you going to that Wilmington call?
We're going off Long Beach Boulevard.
400 block of North Wilmington.
414,
Brazil and
1116 South Long Beach. 441, you cancel.
what's that?
You know Brazil?
No, I don't. I just got off this app. Hold on.
Cross of Brazil, this is auto versus pedestrian, possibly trap person.
I just got back from Rosecrans to the 110. I was just gonna take the 110 and 105 get off at Wilmington.
Dealing 442, explain the address, please. 442, this will be on 1116 South Long. 1116 South Long Beach. 1116 South Long Beach.
They put out 2 separate calls, 2 separate places. Don't check out Long Beach, I'll check out Wilmington. You're sitting at Long Beach, right? Alright, I'll go to the 400 block in North Wilmington.
441. Go ahead. Squad 116, you're later. 442 coming from Virginia, they're a lot closer to the other side. Copy. 442, can you reply to 414 North Wilmington? 414 North Wilmington.
My computer has a bug in it. That's great.
So what do we just hear, Scott? It's
We heard a vehicle versus a pedestrian. Those happen all the time. Not that often you get the call where the vehicle is still stuck on top of the pedestrian. As of now, that's what the call is. They haven't had a size up yet to say whether it is or not. But they said that they had a vehicle versus pedestrian and the vehicle stuck on top of it. And I'm trying to find the channel. There it is. So we can hear them when they arrive on scene.
Go through a lot of tires, a lot of gas.
Yeah, I go through a lot of gas. Tires, not as bad as you would think, but it's pretty bad. I always get them at the wrong time too. I never seem to get my new tires right before winter. I always get them somehow in the middle of the summer.
So we have 414 North Wilmington, cross of Brazil.
Yeah, see? It is Wilmington. Is it going to be north or south?
42.
It's Compton. Has to be south.
Yeah, for medic. That's 141, you can cancel. Copy, cancel. 42, copy. 441, continuing.
And when we get on scene, you can do whatever you want. Just stay behind the yellow tape.
okay.
The officers, they'll tell you if they don't want you there. And they don't care that you're there, just stay behind the yellow tape. A couple of these Compton sheriffs are cool. I even not know them, but recognize them from scenes. So they might even ask you guys what you're doing or what's going on. Because they're not used to seeing the cameras not looking at them. Or not looking at the scene.
Right,
so they'll be kind of like, huh?
The guy's pretty busy down here in Compton.
Compton's always busy, yeah. Compton's a good spot to see.
Agent to squad 20, sick person. 11821, Los Alisos Circle, Pioneer Boulevard, get 38.
Yours responding to the Wilmington address. Patient is free from the vehicle.
That pretty much means it's over.
42 available.
So we drove real fast for
42 copy.
But that's how it goes. That's what happens. We got all excited right now, and now it's over. Nothing.
They pulled him off the vehicle or something.
Actually, we'll just see. It's free from the vehicle, which means he might have just got hit and pushed away. He might. Who knows what happened to him? But he's not trapped into the vehicle.
When they're talking on the radios, they're talking to the other units like fire.
They're talking from the dispatch back to the trucks.
Rescue 443, security 2040, auto versus pedestrian, 414 North Wilmington, cross of Brazil.
So they're still asking for
414 North Wilmington, cross of Brazil.
They're still asking
Rescue
for an ambulance. So a vehicle versus pedestrian. At this time, most likely the pedestrian isn't somebody the news is going to care about. But if the car left the scene, the news will care about it. Only if he dies, though. It's kind of sad.
No, but it's fascinating because you've got such a grasp of
It was all through experience.
It's like, yeah, I was just going to say, it's instinctual. You can tell you've had to learn this.
When I first came out, I argued with my boss. Oh my gosh, the story was so good. And he's like, so what?
Yeah.
You know, you're at this gnarly crash and this guy's trapped, but so what? Did he die? No. Is he drunk? No. Were there any kids? No. Then so what? So it's, you know, it's like this one. Yeah, somebody did get hit. But you got to look for that special circumstance for it to make news. Especially, you know, we're in Los Angeles. It has to be pretty gnarly. I think we're right here now. It's going to be right here on the left, I believe. Hopefully, there's a captain that's working right now. He's really cool too. So he'll tell us all kinds of information. He used to do what I do. He worked. He was a Compton fireman, and he was doing fireman part-time and doing this part-time, and then he got real serious into the fire. And he's so serious, he's probably one of their youngest captains ever.
Huh. Have you ever heard stories, or do you ever conceive of getting to a point where you're
Angel 134, squad 129,
after this?
17 Street West, West Avenue, Kilo.
6093, if you said if you handle. Clear for PR condition 6104, step off here. 1744. Involved in this, country under the clear. 1830.
Squad 129, cancel.
See the female carrying
Angel
white
134, get to squad 53.
IL, parking lot location. Missing is the subject male white, 553, brown is on here, blue eyes, 76.
The guy that's saving, he's with me, so even if it's no big deal. I just wanted to come here so you guys can see it. But what up, man? Told you it's Wilmington. I told you it's Wilmington. Well, Sean, you should meet Christian and Larry.
What's up, man?
What's your name?
Christian.
Christian, nice to meet you.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Larry.
Very nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Sean.
Sean.
Sean is my partner.
It's not my conversation.
we're on the same team.
No, we got to. No, you sit down.
Was he working on it?
I don't know. Go on him.
Are you guys ready? It's pretty much wasting time standing here.
Respect. The man behind the camera, behind the camera, behind the camera.
Hey, behind the camera, behind the camera.
You gonna keep the geyser?
Yeah, I'm gonna go do that right now.
Probably back towards LA. You working tomorrow?
I'm gonna wait and see how the night turns out. Alright, have a good one.
Usually we wouldn't have shown up here together, but I came here so you guys, can see, some lights and action or whatnot. But usually we're communicating and we wouldn't go to the same store. It's stupid. Because we're both here. What if something happens where we just were? And now I totally missed it. And by both of us being here, you miss it. You don't get everything that you could possibly get.
Why didn't you show us the outside of your ride while we got a little bit of this?
All right. There's my antennas, pretty much.
What are they for?
That's where I keep my camera. Battery pack. There are a few things I have. I got a couple of lights and these. Labels on the front. There's some things. But on that, the reason why I got the police interceptor is pretty much the wear and tear that you put on the car, and I pretty much got it for the way it handles. As a regular Crown Vic, this has a little bit more tighter suspension. The suspension is definitely it handles the car better than a regular Crown Vic would be.
You get out of more bullshit when you look like an undercover.
This way you can actually, like you see that sheriff officer, how he was in front of us and we kind of did the illegal thing, kind of even passed him. You can almost just wave at him. But when you hit your brakes and you look like you're not that guy, then they'll kind of question, or if they pull up behind and run your plates or whatever, they'll pull you over. A lot of times they're just wondering who you are, because you look a little more than a taxi. Because a lot of Crown Vics are taxis, but you look just a little more than a taxi. So they're like, who are you or what are you doing? And then when you tell them, most of them already know who you are because they've seen you before anyways. It's the same. I go everywhere in the city, but the cops stay in their city. So when you go to that city, you see that group of cops. You go to this city, you see that group of people. It all depends on when and where you go.
Let me shoot just one more back this way. So, but isn't it, by and large, are you like one of the only guys with the cruiser? Does that help you get faster? What's the top speed?
The company, a few years ago, there's a company that started doing this. That was the one that taught my boss. So the company that I was working for before, we all had these. And there was 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 companies that were using Crown Vics. Just recently, some of my buddies went from Crown Vics to Tahoes. They just got tired of being in the cars. They went to the Tahoes. Plus, when it's weather and brush fires, it's really good to be in the SUV. But it doesn't have its advantages. To them, they still can use it the way that they want to. But to me, this has its advantages. When the guy's sitting there with the parking, you know, you just wave right by him. You know, you just kind of, he's just there to stop parking. You can actually roll your window down and go, I'm with the media, then he has to call this and call that, and it's just a pain in the butt. You just go there and you just wave hi and you go right up to the yellow tape. Because the rules for the media is you go to the yellow tape. If there is no yellow tape, you can pretty much walk where you want. That's not what the officers think. The officer says, you can't walk there, that's my crime scene. It's like, your crime scene, this is my scene. I don't see any yellow tape. You put up yellow tape and all of a sudden now it's their scene. But their excuse is, we didn't have time to get here, blah, blah. I go, it's not my fault that you didn't put up your stuff. I didn't know I'm walking around in your crime scene. You didn't show me it was your crime scene. You told me. You probably tell a lot of things to people. I tell a lot of things to people, but until you actually see it. So that's where a lot of arguments come between the officers and cameramen, is that yellow tape where they can and cannot go. We can pretty much, in the guidelines and even in their laws, we can go anywhere you want until that yellow tape is put up. But their excuse, we didn't have time to put up the tape. It wasn't it's not a set scene. It's still a static scene. It's like, that's not my fault. You know, it's like the stations. You know how Sean and I both showed up here? If we both fed the story to the station's gonna be like, why are you using both? It's not our fault that two cameramen went to one story. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's not the policeman's fault. It's not my fault he didn't get it up fast enough. It's his fault. Just like Sean and I showed up here together. It's my fault. You know, I just showed up here just so you guys can see what's going on. But usually Sean and I would not show up together. It's always best to be away from each other. So if he moves to a spot, I can even come around here because he's busy here, so I can hear it. But you never want to go to the same spot. It's a waste of time and effort and money. You got all happy shooting a fireman and stuff.
I told you to get the fuck off the street.
Car crashed into a building, and it was a canine, so he had his dog with him, and the shot was the dog. The shot was the OK dog in the front seat. And then, of course, the smashed police car. Anytime a police car is smashed, I don't make the news.
7 assault. Jake's Way in Barron Court, sheriff on scene.
That was right where we are, south of 110.
Press by 22, Vision 22.
Do you need extra car batteries to run this stuff? Do you have an extra, or a certain
I don't
rate?
have another battery. I should hook a second battery up. I just go through batteries faster than their
Engine 22, grass fire.
than whatever the.
454 East Olympic
Usually I forget what the warranty is, but
Boulevard. Sheriff on scene.
I always win. I always come back with my receipt and go, my battery don't work anymore. My battery doesn't work anymore. It goes by pretty fast. Yeah, this is definitely the boring part. But if I really wanted to, I could start surfing the net, watch TV.
Sure.
I used to play chess a lot on Yahoo. And it got to the point, though, I was too involved in my chess game, and they rate you. And I was getting pissed at my rate going down because I was going to a call. So I'd say screw the call and start playing chess because I cared more about this damn game, and I didn't want my number to drop. And if you don't go to your move within like so many minutes, 20 minutes,
drops.
you lose. So I just pretty much quit chess altogether. I don't play chess in the car anymore.
I don't blame you.
I loved it though, because it's so fun and just, you know, I got one of the best views in the city and I'm sitting here playing, but then something happens and now you're going 100 miles an hour trying to move your pawn.
Yeah.
It just wasn't working.
What would happen if you did capture that one Rodney King shot? You know, is that kind of the goal for a lot of...
No, that's not my goal, because, like, for instance, you know the guy who got the Inglewood PD beating up that kid? Remember? It was probably like 2 years ago. They had a 15-year-old kid who was in handcuffs, and they were socking him.
Oh, at a gas station.
Yeah, the guy who shot that footage. Oh shit. The guy who shot that footage had a couple warrants. Well, he got in trouble that next day, and then everybody knew everything about him. Not that I don't care about everybody knowing everything about me, but that's not how it works, you know?
Yeah.
I don't shoot videos so everybody knows everything about me. So it is a once in a lifetime thing, and you gotta think about what you're doing. Because another thing is, I work with these people every day. They can literally,
make your life miserable.
make my life miserable.
Right.
Even though it sounds like a conspiracy, but you know, it's like I don't want to try it. And a few $1,000s is not really worth it. Now, $50,000, hell, you know, and that's different. But for the few $1,000s you can make here, it's not worth the hassle. It's not worth the headache.
Right.
It's like, for instance, paparazzi was big because of the Lindsay Lohan crash. Well, I was doing paparazzi, and this other guy came, and now my stuff wasn't exclusive. And I was like, I can't really. This guy is the king at this. You know, he pretty much started Celebrities Uncensored. So what I could do now is I can just, since the cops are here because paparazzi's new and they're kind of keeping an eye on them, I could tape the paparazzi for the news. And so when I did that, I'm gonna go to check 61st and Hoover. They might have a fire, but that's what's cool about here. And I'll pop over here first sometimes. See? There it is, right there. Should have went to it when I first saw it.
Engine squad 161. Engine 21, 160, 159, and 162. Times 18 and 20. Commercial assignment 13247 Prairie Avenue, West 132nd Street.
32nd.
Delay pack 23.
We're maybe 7, maybe 10 minutes from tops. 10 tops. Oh shit! Alright, where the fire is, so it's the same area. It's a pursuit in the same city. So we're going to Inglewood. It's a foot pursuit. It's over now. Alright, we're still going to Inglewood though. There's a fire. So usually when you hear somebody yelling and you hear sirens on in the background, good chance it's a pursuit. That's just dead giveaway. Sure. When you hear someone yelling southbound on Prairie, and then there's a good chance it's a pursuit.
DN number is 2684 2684.
Copy 35 Frank and 35
West Covina, west of Espinoza. Proceed in progress 7/1 of 2005. And there's nothing pending.
Incident. Location. In mirror.
094.
Other occupant. Tech 3.
For DUI with bodily injury.
I verify the call.
To March 14, 2006 on a 1998 Ford.
Any year dispatch 12
Let Avenue, Manhattan Beach.
20, we put up with unknown type passenger.
16 7th Street from male inside with chest pain. Squad 1.
529, the city, male black, dark brown, 510, 170, QB of 915, 89.
I shot so much stuff in downtown. I we did a short film and a trailer and stuff down there. Got away with a lot of shit because we were shooting this story about these kids in these stolen police uniforms. And we had this like look-alike cop car, and the cops came up and they were just like, "Oh, what's up? We're shooting." Like we could have done anything we wanted to. I was surprised. The cops were actually very cool when they realized that we weren't bad guys. They got enough to know about that.
Yeah, they do.
My dad's actually a police chief. In Colorado, he retired about 5 years ago. Different respect for all the shit they gotta deal with. Kind of like you. I mean, you're constantly just dealing with like bad people and bad stuff, you know?
That's why I needed the social or an additional name. 306. So far, it's confirmed.
How far do you travel anyway? I never asked you that. How far, like what's the furthest distance you go?
Oh, like where I go for a story?
Yeah.
Pretty much LA County, anywhere in LA County. As far as Pomona, up to, I don't really do Lancaster that much, but if the pursuit takes me there, if there's a gnarly fire, I might head that way. But anywhere in LA County, anywhere these things right here will reach. Anything I can hear on these, means I can get there. Every once in a while you hear stuff in Ventura County, I don't bother going there. Taking a little shortcut.
Let's go to Texas.
You ever think about being a cop or a fireman or anything?
No. Never. Fireman crossed my mind for about 30 seconds one day, and that was about it. But it never crossed my mind.
You don't get to do what you want to do as much, huh?
Yeah, and then people ask me, well, would you work for Channel 4? Nope. Channel 4 is going to ask me to go shoot a doctor in some doctor's office. Channel 4 is going to ask me to go shoot something boring. And then it's just the fact that somebody's telling me where to go. When you're just so used to going wherever you want to go.
Probably like the work truck.
Maybe we'll get a late night something.
Thanks, everything. Anyone at 710? I know where she is. On we'll be checking room 403.
So I think that you might also just get more shit from cops just because there's less cops out. So if you are running red lights, that they might mess with you just because you're out driving all the time.
Whenever I do the red light thing, I kind of watch what's coming up, and then you also have to weigh it out. Is it worth it to get that ticket? Is it worth it? But no, they don't. It's not as bad as you would think, but it is bad. There is their moments. They don't. When they're on a pursuit or they're on a containment and you light them up, they don't like that. They don't like when they're a backlight. I guess it makes them an easy target. So is this something you guys can see possibly working out? Or what was your interest level in it before and after and now?
Definitely, I think it's a pretty cool world just because not that many people know about it necessarily. It's just kind of for us to be able to figure out, how big of a story it can be. I think that you're definitely like a good representation of the business and you kind of handle yourself and you speak intelligently about it.
26 from Figueroa, Miller 5, all of that.
G-Smart's kind of out. One of common sense, actually. If you want to go out next week, give me a call. I don't know if I'm going to go out at night at the beginning of the week. Not too sure. Because the longer you wait, the better off it is right now, just because of the London stuff. So it's actually, I picked a good week to go out of town. So I don't really have to bother working. If you want to go out again, just give me a call. Coffee, energy drinks, all that stuff. I finally just gave it all up though. Did you just find yourself all antsy? Sitting inside of a car waiting for a call.
Where do you see yourself in 20 years?
I thought about that the other day too. Like, am I gonna be able to do this when I'm 50? I honestly don't know. I almost want to say, worst comes to worst, I'll be doing this. That's pretty much it. I mean, it can only get better from here. So, worst case scenario, I'll be doing this. Best case scenario, I don't know. I don't play the lottery, so I can't say I'm going to win the lottery and have a bunch of money. Best case scenario is just it gets better and just find better things to do with my skills. But I always have this, which is cool. This, now that it's in my blood, it's not coming out. I mean, I even found stuff I could do during the day, making better money. But this is just, it's exciting. It's not that often. You get to follow a policeman or a fireman and it'd be okay. It's not that often you get to walk up to a fire and stand there with the fireman and it'd be okay. Or stand on a freeway while there's somebody being cut out of a. You don't get to do that. You don't get to watch that kind of stuff unless you do something like this. That's what's really cool, is the places that you're put and things you see. You get cool people with cameras following you around when you're doing.
10125 Mallison Avenue, Tweedy Boulevard.
I'm stoked that there's people interested in what I do.